That's the Apple Macintosh. And the lady in the middle, can anybody tell me who that lady is? Indira Gandhi, right. And that poster there is a movie I hope all of us know and have seen it in the original version called The Ghostbusters. Who's our boss? But Dr. Helmi came to me and he said he wants to put importance to operation. Because if you look at the PLC, and no disrespect to my PLC colleague, but the PLC colleague can all support functions in there. But at the end of the day, it is all of you guys that toil the land, that make sure that we have fruits to be harvested and to be processed into oils. We are operations. And without operations, there's no money to be made. There's no salary to be paid, and so forth. So, to signify the importance of operation, he created this role called the OLT. And being your GCOO, he said, I want you to lead it. And underneath the OLT, or underneath me, are the so-called 5 operation leaders, comprising of upstream, downstream, and R&D. So we have Tuan Roslin here as our CEO for Malaysia, Papa Adi, Indonesia, and Bossman Azlan. By the way, Azlan, you should be sitting at the front, not at the back. Same row. You're not doing justice to your role, Bossman, as PNG CEO, and Doc Shariman, who in a way succeed me as the COO for now of some W Oils, and David, who now leads R&D. But as with everything else in life, things change, and things are changing for the better, I hope. We'll have Tuan Haji Roslin in his last managers conference after serving the company for nearly 40 years, began his career as a cadet punter in 1984, began in Carey Island, and will complete his illustrious career of 40 years in Carey Island. And we have a very capable person, a leader, in the form of Jeffrey Faisal, who I believe has landed back in Malaysia after a 2-week of holiday in Switzerland. And we have Papa Azmi here in this room, who will be elevated to the role of CEO of Myanmar, a person of great integrity whom I've known since I first came to the company about 10 years ago. And there's a commonality between Roslin and Azmi in that they have, and also Azlan for that matter, in that they have completed is what I call the Holy Trinity, in that they've been to 3 different countries in our upstream operation. Roslin, as you know, has been to Liberia, Malaysia, of course, and Indonesia. Azlan, Malaysia, Indonesia, and now PNG. And Azmi, same thing, Malaysia, Liberia, and Indonesia. So I'm not trying to preempt anything, but the point here is this. If we are to lead a company of our stature, a company of our size, and a company of our complexity, those who want to lead this organization must have the cultural exposure, geographical exposure, and understand the various complexities that we have in our upstream operation. And it's only through that you earn a seat in the OLT. And you earn a seat to eventually succeed me and to succeed Dr. Helmi, to be the next leader in Sime Plantation, whom we shall bid goodbye and call ourselves a new name come 30th of May, in a few weeks' time, in fact. Underpinning that are 2 key initiatives, and you will hear later on today Chris talk about Mission 1, Sharman will talk about value of oil, and all of that is a combination of efforts and work that we do together as a team. Now, the next few slides that I'm going to show you have seen this many, many times, but it's good to emphasize again the few things that are important to us. And one thing I dislike most is a consultant like deck. And guys, this is a consultant like text. Right? Lots of information here, and it can confuse the living daylight out of me. But if you see this slide, there are only three things that really matter. Right? Now, that three things are those in green, red, and blue. That is what we call our strategic pillars. That is sustainability, in that we want to lead the industry and do things that really make us different. The second is operational excellence, and we heard, I was late yesterday, but I heard Tuan Adrian talk about going back to basics, and mission one is about going back to basic. But it's about strengthening and growing our core. Right? Now, for some of you who cycle, who's a keen cyclist, you know cycling is not about just cadence, right? It's not just about moving the pedal, it's about strengthening your core. Because if your core is not strong, you won't last 2 hours, let alone 3, 4, 5 hours. Same thing with us, the core must be strong. And the third pillar is innovation, doing things differently. Again, I listened to Tuan Adrian yesterday, he talks about things are different now, we must embrace technology. That's innovation, guys. So that's our strategic pillar. And by doing so, what do we hope to achieve? Is those boxes up there that you see. 5 billion per tonne aspiration, one ton combined oil yield, SDO to achieve more than $1 billion ringgit target, or PBIT target, and 100% human rights risk managed. You heard Vijay talk about that yesterday, and I have a slide to emphasize that at the end of my presentation. Having said all that, I think if we're being really honest with ourselves, I dare say that 2023 was a good year for Upstream Malaysia. We've overcome the US CDP ban, and that was a very dark episode for us, isn't it? I mean, for us to be able to go out there and people will tell you, how come you're being banned? What is wrong with you? And how do you respond to that? It's one episode that I hope we'll never see it again for the rest of our lives, and certainly for the future generation. And certainly the things that we have done to improve our activities, and you guys are very much part of it, will ensure that going from here on out, we become the leader when it comes to human rights. We resolve legacy issues, and this is pertaining to our operations in Indonesia. We address 2 years worth of labor shortage. COVID, US CDP meant that we had to change the way we bring people in and how we treat our people. And of course, one of the success is the combination of a genome select seed, the commercialization, of a genome select seed. So 16 years of R&D had gone into it, blood, sweat, and tears, to produce a seed that is truly different. And those are some of the achievements that we achieved last year in 2023. But if we then look beneath that, look beneath the engine and say, what did we really achieve as Malaysia? And you compare that to what the group achieved, I think all of us will be doing ourselves a great disservice if we don't take a moment to say, we've done a good job. You guys have done a good job. And Tuan Roslin has done a fantastic job. And you don't get to see this, and I see this every day with board conversations, board discussions, PRC conversations, the kind of pressure that we put on Tuan Roslin. And as they say, pressure makes diamond. And I think we see that in the result of what Tuan Roslin has brought to the PRC and to the board. And I think we deserve a round of applause for Tuan Roslin. Look at the numbers. The green one, the dark colored box is Upstream Malaysia as a group, and the white is Malaysia. Forget revenue, we don't control revenue, that's market prices. Everything else, Malaysia has exceeded. And this is 2 years worth of hard work. And he promised the board in Bangkok that given 2 years, He will work with all of you to turn it around. And turn it around, you guys have done it. So well done. We still have issues with our eyes. And by June, Khairul has promised by June, Adrian promised by June, we get this sorted. These guys are moving on. I'm there, yeah? They left, and then somebody else will come in and carry on. Your PJ here and Haizal and so forth. But June it will be, God willing. Again, you have seen these slides. But the point here is this. There are many things that's happening in the company. And you got Mission One, you got Infinity, you have a new purpose that we just launched. We have Omega, we have Project Local. But the result is one, a singular result. And that is to achieve 1 ton of additional oil, combined oil, by 2026. To do that, you need to have Mission One, Project Infinity, Project Omega, and of course the localization of our manpower. 2026 is the year where we are to achieve this 1 additional combined oil yield. Now, I've been saying this to our colleagues in downstream when I was there. It is good to have a long-term target, but if you can't deliver to me what you promised to deliver to me tomorrow, forget about the long-term target. Right? Those are aspirations, but you must show that you are hitting your milestones. Because don't tell me, oh, wait, watch until 2026, then we get the result. It doesn't work like that. You know this. So we do have a target this year, and that's right up there, my friend. So Darby as a group, 4.81, and the rest are there as you can see. Now, one ton combined oil yield is the result, but there are many things happening underneath it to make it happen. And the last thing we want is to do things that are not sustainable. So what do I mean by that? So we have mill, we have people, we have machines. We talk about efficiency, right? Which is why, and one of the good things that has happened is we've combined Mission One and Omega. Those are not two separate transformation, guys. Those are one uniform, cohesive transformation. Mission One talks about oil yield and how we're going to improve our upstream operation, pretty much going back to basics. Omega is really about how we transform our mill. But those are not two separate transformations. So we've combined it all into one. So we call it Mission One. And that's estate transformation, and that's mill transformation, which is Omega. Now, I'm very pleased that Chris has accepted the challenge to run the transformation, but he alone can't do it. Which is why we said now, under the upstream setup, the COOs are responsible for upstream transformation and mill transformation, working together with Chris. So you have Khairul, responsible for Mission One in Malaysia, Adrian for Myanmar, and Nick Mazia for MB4. You are the one who will make it happen, and Chris and his team will assist you. And the one thing I must emphasize here, guys, whenever we do this transformation, the first thing is a safety culture. Now, believe me, if we have a good safe practices, we will produce great products. If we don't put our people's lives in danger, we will produce great products. So underpinning all of this is the fact that we must have a strong safety culture. And I have a monthly catch up with Chris about this. The emphasis here for us is to instill a safety culture. You would have heard this story in downstream, right? And let me tell you this story again. My expectation when I was running downstream is if there is a fatality in any of the factories, I expect the manager to come to me with a resignation letter in hand. You have resigned from the company. And it's up to me and the council to determine whether to accept your resignation or not. It is how serious I treat fatality in STO. Now, I'm not saying we're going to do that in upstream, but a life loss is a life loss irrespective of who the person is. The implication is what? That person, a daughter has lost a father, a mom has lost a son or a daughter, and a wife has lost a husband. Think about the impact if you put our people's lives in danger. Safety culture is super important. Of course, other things are also important. Food safety, we heard about marshmallow reduction. We heard about how our equipment must be well oiled and be well maintained so that we can achieve good overall equipment efficiency. We do all that through Mission 1. Just conscious of time, actually, understand that. Not too many slides before I ask you to again come up and tell me what those four photos have in common. So rebranding. Dr. Helmi talked a lot about this. So we will officially launch our name and unveil a new logo on 30th of May. Is the why, what, and when. So why do we do it? So basically, we never owned the name Sime Darby. After the great demerger of 2017, the brand Sime Darby belonged to Sime Darby Berhad. We are merely paying rent to a tune of about 2 million ringgit a year, and we have to inform Sime Darby Berhad of everything and anything that we want to do with regards to branding. So in other words, kita ni macam we are renting a house lah. So you nak pay rumah pun, you have to tell the landlord you can't make any renovation to the house and so forth. So in business, there's a term called goodwill. And you ascribe goodwill to the business depending on how big or how successful the business is. Now, if we keep the name Sime Darby and we keep paying rent of about 2 million ringgit a year, and the business now grows to become a 5 million ringgit part-time business, I guarantee you the goodwill of this company will grow. And the value that you ascribe. Now, when somebody wants to buy a company, they look at the profit it generates, and then they make a projection of how much profit it will make in years to come, and they also look at the goodwill value of the company. Yeah. So it's a bit like buying a car. So you buy a car and you see this car is actually well maintained, low mileage and so forth, and the owner happens to be a 65-year-old lady who only drives the car once a month. So the goodwill is there, right? Because an old lady, the car was looked after. Same thing with us. That goodwill value will increase over time because we've grown the business. We, as in Sime Darby Plantation, grow the business into the industry. So we don't want to make too much of a departure. Stick to our roots, celebrate the history, the fact that we have been here for 200 years, and that name signifies our roots, our excellence, our tradition, our culture. So you know when we can do it, 30th of May. So some of you have been very busy, and I see Hafiz here in the room. He's going to talk a bit about that later today, and his team has been super busy in trying to get this off the road. So this is actually what Gajani talked to us yesterday. So I'm not going to use my word here. In that her frustration, and increasingly become my frustration, is that after we've done so much, after you have done so much to change the way we run our operations, things are starting to slip. There are signs of crack in the chink, or chink in the armor, as they say, where we seem to be reverting back to the old ways of working. You know, so if we're not careful, it's a slippery slope, guys. The moment you let things go, before long we're going to revert back to becoming what we were before. Right? And we cannot afford that because the industry and the world and our customers have recognized us as a company that has truly transformed the way we run our operation. The one that is future-proof, the one that sets us apart from the rest of the industry. That's who we are as SD Plantation and definitely as SD DoubleTree. So my ask from all of you is take heed from what you heard from Kajani yesterday, and make sure that we do not regress. We progress, we move ahead, but we should never regress back to old ways of work. And we have issues, and these are continuing issues, and it's becoming very frustrating. Right? Things such as minimum wage, many ILO indicators seem to be breached, whether we know it or not. Worst launch, worst design, to put all of this together in that we have a new ways of working, be it in upstream or downstream, the safety culture that we want to instill, as well as our spirit of entrepreneurship. So keep in mind that things are looking up for all of you in Upstream Malaysia. And I'm very certain Roslyn has or will leave the baton to Jeff in a good state. And I have a very simple definition of success. And some of you may have heard this. And my definition of success is that all of us here, myself included, are merely passing by through this great hall of our company called Plantation. We are really passing by. But what is our role here? Is that from the day that we were handed the baton, the day that Tuan Ruslan was given the baton as CEO of Upstream Malaysia, the day that I was given the baton as the head of Downstream about 10 years ago, and the day that come for me, Roslyn, to pass the baton to somebody else, we are passing this company or this unit that we run in a much better position than we first inherited. That to me is the definition of success.
Good morning, Tuan Haris. My name is Jules Pereira. I am the manager of Sime LLC. So, I mean, from what I can see from this, listen to my presentation. Alright, I was just took a picture of the second slide. So, from what I can see, these four pictures resonated mostly in the 80s. Okay, Indira Gandhi was the first, if I'm not wrong, first female president for India. And the common things that I can see through these four pictures are, it was a decade in which a lot of change was done. Okay, from Indira Gandhi to Ghostbusters, more to a cultural change, which resonated around those three pillars of your second slide, which was operational excellence.
Let me stop you there. Wrong answer. Somebody else. Thank you. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yeah, more up. Good attender. Anybody else? In case jawapan ni salah, can you read? Okay, I see a hand over there.
Aswar from
Yes, Aswar. Jawapan ni ialah?
1984.
Precisely. Well done. What is 1984? What is 1984? Why 1984?
I got it from ChatGPT. It's common traits for this specific item that long is obtained for you.
So that's 1984 lah. So let the 1984. What is 1984?
I was informed.
Yang ni mesti RM50. What's 1984? If you heard my talk today, yang ni kena share ni. Siapa yang berjawab what is 1984 ni? Alamak. Okay. You were so busy with ChatGPT, you didn't hear what I said. Okay. Anybody? No, please, stay. Yes, you want to attempt. You might need to share this lah, because I think Hasno use ChatGPT. He can get very smart. In fact, my speech tonight pun pakai ChatGPT juga, so you will hear. But
hello, Aisha here.
Asha, yes.
1984 is when Tuan Haji Roslyn joined us.
That's right. So 1984 was when Apple introduced Macintosh. Unfortunately, it was also the year when Indira Gandhi was murdered by her own security guard. And one of my favorite movies was Ghostbusters, and it came out in 1984. And this one is a bit surprising. That has been around for 40 years, started in 1984. And I had a picture I initially wanted to show you of, I was 12 years old then. There was a photo of me with some friends in school with shorts, and I was very chubby, probably wouldn't recognize me, but I couldn't locate it. And of course, it was the year when Tuan Haji Roslyn became a cadet mother. That was 1984. Thank you very much.
Selamat pagi. The last time I stood in the managers' conference, if I remember, it was 2 years ago, and we were in Le Meridian in the Tamanjaya, and I had no idea why I was there. I didn't know anybody, and I was there. Dato GMD asked me to come and talk about transformation in downstream operations in swine trade. And I came into the auditorium, and I thought, why am I here? I did my presentation, I went to my room, and the next day I got on a plane and I went back to swine trade. And I thought that was really odd. And 6 months later, I'm living in KL with my wife and leading global transformation for this great company. And now I know why I was brought over here 2 years ago. So the reason I'm telling that story is I felt as if I wasn't part of the Plantation family. Now that's different. Many of you know me in this room. I've travelled around, and some of you still don't know me. And yesterday I was listening to the presentations, and Juan Roslin opened up with some very inspirational comments. Dr. David said he wasn't going to steal some of my thunder, but he did. Arif then talked about mechanisation and how we need to move forward with mechanisation. And my friend and colleague Gajani talked about everything that's going on in the risk management. And then we had Harus, who I got to know through my senior management program training. I was talking about HR. And then Hyrule from Papua New Guinea, who I've met also. And I felt really inspired when Isa was talking about Indonesia. And finally, Adrian spoke about some very inspirational words from himself. So actually, most of my slides were covered. So I thought, how can I be different? And as mentioned earlier, I don't know whether you tuned in or not, but the TGIF that we did a couple of months ago with myself and Gajani, one of the questions was, Mr. Chris, when are you going to learn to speak Malay? And that's a great question, because we all have to change. The biggest transformation I see today is I'm wearing a suit. That's not like me, you all know that. And I went to Paris and I said, I want to take Malay lessons. So here goes. Nama saya Chris Hart. Saya berasal dari UK. Umur saya 55 tahun. Saya menggagai Global Transformation di SDP. Aquí está, terima kasih atas peluang bekerja di convention ini. And I will continue to learn and get better. So, I'm going to talk about quite a few topics. A lot of them have been covered, and I will be covering them very, very quickly because I'm conscious of time. My good friend and colleague, Vijay Kumar, will talk about the Loose Fruit projects, which we're very excited about, and we need everybody's cooperation to help us to get to the end point. It's working very, very well. We've shared the resource of the RDO. The former RDO is now working in the Upstream Transformation Office, and the business has really been set up to help all the organisations move forward. So although we're called Upstream Transformation Office, of course we're global transformation. So Indonesia, Papua New Guinea are just as important when we're moving forward with Mission 1. And I thought I'd just recap on what is transformation? Why do we need transformation? Well, it's the opportunity to define ambition. It's the opportunity to rethink the business. It's the opportunity to unlock new initiatives and programs. And why do we do transformation? Because standing still is simply not enough. The world changes. People are more intelligent. People understand what they need. We need quality oil. Inside WOs, we need to be known as the best. We need to be the sustainable oil company that our customers come to. We don't need to sell our oil needs to sell itself. And I won't steal Dr. Shah's thunder because I'm sure he'll talk about that later. So, where is our transformation? Well, transformation in the case of Sime Darby Plantation, or SD Guthrie, is mission 1 in a nutshell. Our mission 1 comprises of the transformation of the estates and the mills. And the estate transformation is based on the existing estate performance index that we have in place and the parameters. But we'll be looking more and more for how we can do things differently, how we can transform, how we can be more efficient, and how we finally get to that 1.5 billion ringgit by 1 tonne per hectare. And mills, you know, we've been working with most of you, a lot of you in this room. Japra Geeman has been inspirational. He's milling in Gunung is one of the best. You know, Subra in Sabah, I thought he's the best mill I've ever seen. And Adrian, the whole region was fantastic. So we've had many, many successes. Hadapan in southern region, fantastic mill. And we're hitting the much more numbers. You know, who'd have thought just over a year ago, Dr. David was talking about much more. And now the Callis mills, we're getting there. And we will get there. I'm confident, I'm inspired by what I heard yesterday. Everything is in place to help us succeed. So here's where we are today. We're slightly behind. You know, in Indonesia, we're slightly behind in Malaysia because of the labour issues that we're having in Sabah, Sarawak and Papua New Guinea. But you know, I saw Aslan's face yesterday when Hyrule stood here and said, we will hit it, we will hit the numbers, and I'm confident that the guys over there will work hard to hit the numbers. And you know, the focus on where we're looking in more detail, I just put a few points for Malaysia. I won't go through the detail as a lot of this was covered yesterday, and firm plans are in place to make this happen. And when we talk about the mills, this is the focus that we set ourselves and the target for this year. And certainly everything is on track. But going back to Harris's point on safety, safety is the #1 priority of this business and should be. And you know, I won't mince my words either. We have to improve and improve fast. We have to put urgency, and the leaders in this room are accountable for that. The way we behave, the way we conduct ourselves will affect our safety performance. Opportunity is not in the budget. This is additional to budget. So we need you to help us. As Harris said, I can't do this all myself. We have a team of support at HQ, and we will give you whatever you need to be able to achieve these numbers. And here's where we are here today. So this is at L3. I encourage everybody to use our wave performance management system. We need to track the good things that we're doing. I travel around Indonesia, I travel around Papua New Guinea, and there's some fantastic things happening. Where the gap I see is we're very bad at sharing these initiatives. We're very bad at recording these initiatives because we're all really ingrained in our day-to-day business. So we have to step back and spend some time to look at what we can do differently. And with that, I hand over to my good friend and colleague, Vijay Kumar, to...
Right. Currently, Upstream Transformation Office, we are embarking on this loose fruit trial. Basically, what we are focusing is improve the efficiency, the speed of collection, and also the clean loose fruit. So, before I take through, let's look into the existing challenge on the top of my left side. We could see that the #1, the high percentage of uncollected loose fruit and the crop loss. We known for the factor that if, let's say, if the rounds are extended, it's worst case scenario, we're able to see that there are many loose fruit on the ground that the team is always unable to collect. So what happened then? There is a research done by Mr. Ho, Go and the late Saji Thomas in 1992, way back during the ex-Sime Darby days, Sime Darby Ibo, saying that the time taken to collect the loose fruit is twofold when the rounds is extended more than 16 days. Not only that, the IJM Plantation, the next year they did the survey, 1993, indicating that anything interval extended more than 16 days, the detached loose fruit is almost 70% per bunch, meaning to say with the one MRS trial. So with the ratio of 1:1 loose fruit to, the cutter to loose fruit picker is definitely a difficult task for the team to collect. Now the number 2, lower workers' productivity. We know, let's say if a cutter cutting about 5 metric ton of the productivity, and with the hourly interval of 12 days, we do expect about 500 kg of loose fruit. Now, what is the loose fruit being collected on average for upstream? We could see it's about 300 to 350 kilo. And what happened to the rest of the loose fruit? 150 to 200 kilo is left the next day collection, or even it's become worse when there is a wet weather or prolonged interval. So days for the loose fruit to reach to the mill. And always the case is loose fruit wasn't separated with the debris. Known factor that the FFB consignment with the loose fruit being sent to the mill is together with the debris, and the denominator of the calculation is both are together. So the mill managers always send the phantom weight calculation just to remind the estate manager, hey, see, you have a lot of debris coming into the mill, so please act on it. So these are the things that we took into the consideration when we come up with this project. Now, if you see, we have chosen Tanah Maram and Tanah Merah SOU 6, 7 and 14 to do this trial. Why these 2 SOUs? Eventually, when we look at the 10 years data, these 2 SOU is the bottom 10 of the OER performance. SOU Tanah Maram is 19.98, the 10 years average OER data. Tanah Merah is 20.36. The average 10-year OER performance for Upstream Malaysia is 20.88. They are far below the norm. So that's why we have chosen. And the number 2 reason why we have chosen these SOUs are they are nearest to our vicinity for the head office, so we can go immediately and have a look. And also they're known for this premium quality oil producer. I worked with Dr. David before, so we used to produce the PQ oil, SQ and even 3Max. These are the mills that always known for that. So it's good to have this kind of trial so that we can see what are the factual numbers that we can improve upon. Now this trial, what we are doing is introducing a new machine called E-Lasa. Our partner, Cik Mohamad is here. This machine, the supply is Gadri AgriBio. It's a hot selling machine now. I'm doing a free advertisement for you to Cik Mohamad. Alright. So what this machine will do, if you see here in this slide, basically we are trying to eliminate the 2 area with the conventional existing practice whereby the collection of the loose fruit use the fertilizer bag to the platform. So we are trying to eliminate that. So what this machine is doing, I will explain that. First, let me tell about this machine. Machine is lithium battery operated machine with the 250 to 300 ratio coverage and 370 kilo capacity, loading capacity. And then the proposal is there is no additional manpower we are going to add on with this machine. That means the DOL, QC and QL is a similar 1:1 ratio, no additional manpower, and the mechanism of payment is similar to the DLFC, dedicated loose fruit gang, the tier-based system payment. So it's a productivity-based system. It's not a new system. This introduction, Bukit Krayong Estate done that last 3rd quarter, and they did well until now. This was initiated by the manager, Mr. Dave, when there is a desperate measure after the COVID, whereby there is no workers, you don't have the loose fruit pickers at all, so he invented this system. It's going very well. Their loose fruit percentage stands still since last September until now 12%, with the harvesting interval 12 days. I know I was the former regional general manager there. The loose fruit percentage for SOU 6 is always at 6 to 7%. It never goes above than that. But now Bukit Raya consistently hitting 12%. Not only that, their productivity at 500 to 600 kilo per loose wood collector with this machine is just assisting to collect in the field. Not only that, the ABW improved, their wages also improved. I don't want to share the data here because that estate alone. That's why I want to try out by SOU basis to see the incremental in terms of the OER benefit. Going into the field, when that one machine will cover about approximately 4 to 6 cutter stars. So you will have about 3 loose wood collector for the one machine. So they can use, even using the long pole to heat quickly, and then the other fellow with the perforated basket can just collect and then push it into the machine. So it's a very easy process and enhanced freshness. Of course, you can see in a day, delivery will be better. If that 150 to 200 loose wood could not able to sell on daily basis, that translates about 30 to 40% loose wood left in the field on the same day harvesting. That can be attended, right? Now you still having the unpruned area, backlog area newly coming into maturity, whereby the machine could not able to go. These are the challenges that we are facing. And when talk about the machine, the safety clearance on the machine itself, that's one of the issues being brought up, whereby this 3-wheeler is not safe. So we are tackling that as well. And accessibility issues about this machine when going up to the hill and all that. The timeline delivery of the machine and also about the culture, right? Now, this is the important slide. This is where how we calculate the benefit to the upstream itself. So as you can see, this is the cost benefit analysis, and also the Bukit Raya estate, because they have done well, their bottom line already impacted, their implementation already impacted the bottom line for the last financial year, this financial year. That's why we have excluded. Now, the column B is the one, the loose wood percentage you could see for the year 2021, the mission one target year, the baseline. So if you could see, Ladang Bukit Ceraka is about 4.75, Tanah about 7.96, and it goes. So you could see the range of the loose wood percentage. This is the record we have taken from the system. So you could see they have not surpassed even 8%, right? Only Ladang Bukit Pelandok, we could see that they have done quite well. The rest is between 4 to 6%. Now, the targeted loose wood, without the introduction of this implementation of the ILASA, we could expect the similar percentage for this year. But with that inclusion of that ILASA, we could expect about 10%, because with the 12 days rounds interval, we anticipate about 10% of the loose wood. So the column D, the row D is the one is just merely a calculation of 10 minus of your 4, you will get about 5 for Ladang Bukit Ceraka. That is the percentage we are talking about. And the target incremental loose wood is the multiplication of the D with the budgeted crop. So we could see if we introduce this machine with the 10% recovery, we should be able to get an additional of the loose wood for SOU 6 and 7, about 5,200 metric ton. And I've explained to the previous slide. Now, the target crop processing, the C is basically, it's a combination of that incremental loose wood and the normal budget. And OER, for the column D, you could see that 19.85 is the one being obtained in year 2021 with the normal circumstances whereby you don't have the worker scarcity issues. So that is the baseline we have set. Now, with the incremental of that 5,294 for SOU 6 and 7, we could see what would be the incremental OER. With that loose wood alone, based on the research, 30 to 40%, we take the conventional way, 30% OER. So the incremental will be in column H. You can see that 1,588 for SOU Tanah Maram and 946 for SOU Tanah Merah. Now, if you go down, you could see that if we combine both 1,588 and plus the normal CPO with the earlier OER 30,486, That is the OER. Combine both, you are going to get in K 20.18. So what will be the incremental? With that additional loose fruit percentage, we are looking into 0.34% for the 6-month alone project. Similarly to KKS Tanah Merah. We also did the revenue based on the incremental. We could see that all in that row H, the green color rows. So we could see that additional sales revenue for the CPO, PK and also TGO. We could see about 6.2 million, and that in the red color rows is all about the cost. The rental of the ILASA, the additional transport costs, all being calculated properly. So what is the bottom line numbers we are looking at? Actually, we are looking at 6.4 million for both SOUs for the 6-month trial. It's just in getting additional another 4% of the loose fruit to the mill, right? So this is on the ideal scenario. We do expect that we will have a lot of variable for upstream challenges in a year. So what will be the best case scenario if we take into all that consideration? So if you look into this chart, the 0%. The 0% just now is the ideal situation where let's say we get all that additional 4% loose fruit and all that. But if let's say we do face the extreme weather condition, the crop manpower availability, we have peak and low crop, sometimes we could not able to get the budget and all that, and unexpected prolonged ILASA breakdown of supply and all that, we could see about 25% reduction. With the similar CPO budget, what will be the takeaway? So we could see about 4.6 million. And the worst case scenario, the break-even point, even we do less than 87%, 1,000 metric ton additional recovery, we could actually manage the cost. So this is the chart that briefing about the sensitivity analysis, and I have taken through this together with Chris, with Tuan Jeff, and it was agreed that we will stick to that 25% risk factor.
Of HSE issues is to sustain initiatives such as Sime, process safety management, safety critical equipment, and the 10 golden rules. And our mission, of course, everybody should know: zero fatalities, zero disabilities, and I should know. Zero disabilities, zero lost time injuries. Yeah. So. The first stage, the HSE gap analysis is based on the flyby visits that we had in round 2 2023, where we visited all the mills and we identified the gaps, creating non-compliances and a red card system for reoccurrences. And by analysing the data of the Upstream Transformation Office HSE, we did this for the 32 mills and the bottom 10 performing estates, and that's now been handed over to the HSE department for actions with timelines and improvements. It's all available on the live SharePoint, and we give a briefing to the HSE, Upstream Management and RHS, Regional HSE.
Why did we need to rebrand? Let's start with some facts, right? The Sime brand is owned by Sime Berhad, a former parent company back in the group days. Since the demerger and listing of Sime Plantation in November 2017, we have operated under license subject to the terms of licensing agreement and paying an annual fee, in which Jared mentioned just now, 2 million ringgit every year for the use of the Sime brand. Sime Berhad is the licensor of the brand, and we are the licensee. The other licensee is Sime Property. The brand is governed by the Sime Darby Brand Council, who meet twice a year and is represented by our GMD and CFO, and also from all the Sime Darby companies. And this is chaired by the brand by Sime Berhad. All 3 companies are listed on Upstream Malaysia and use the same logo. And this confusion this didn't go well with us throughout the years, right? 30th of April, our intent to rebrand to Bursa, it was picked up by a lot of media. It was also mentioned in most of our platforms, external and internal, and this created a lot of questions. But luckily, the week after, there was also an announcement on us going into a new vertical, which is the Green Industrial Park segment. Okay? And that kind of, for the investors and analysts and most of the public, they kind of know that. That is why it was very important for us to not have any descriptor for this new brand, such as plantations or oils. For us, the SD Guthrie brand holds a unique position as it is part of our origin story. Our actual history is older than the Sandobi brand, which established more than 200 years ago by Alexander Guthrie. The original Guthrie story was one of ambition, enterprise, and resilience of both its early founders and its subsequent Malaysian leaders, attributes which resonate with us today. We are a large company and we have ambitions for sustainable growth. Thus, it is important that we own and control our own and unique brand and identity. When the first license agreement was up for renewal at the end of 2022, the Brand Council sought to identify and understand the Sandobi brand's strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges faced at that point of time. And as mentioned by Charis earlier, this was a time when we were facing our WRO situation. These were developed and endorsed by the Brand Council, and as you can see on screen to the left, to the left, Schedule 7 of the current license agreement explains the parameters for the rebranding. Yes, fits those requirements and owns a rich history in our industry, and that is important for us. Based on the parameters that were defined, we worked hard to whip up meaningful options, as you can see in the screens in front of you. Right? So when it started, we wanted to maintain within those parameters that were defined in the previous slide. Right? To keep the Sime Darby, change the identifier. And that's in this diagram that I have. Let's start from the outer before we go into the inside. So we tried our best to argue out that we needed to remain as Honey Plantation. That's first, the far right. Then we were toying with a couple of identifiers which resonate among us, which is agribiz and agrotech. And then we had Sandobi oils as well as one of the options, as well as a couple of made-up names down there, Sandobi Agrinovas and Sandobi Vantera. But then we heard that Sandobi Berhad, the licensor, they were going to depart from the Sime Darby brand, just like us. Okay? And that's when a shift happened in the discussions. Hey, we don't need to be Sime Darby anymore, right? But in the middle there, in the second, core before the middle core, we had Sime Darby. We argued it out, right? We wanted to remain Sime Darby. We did not want to change our brand because we heard that the licensor was not going to use Sime Darby anymore, right? So that was an option. The second option was SDO. And beyond that, we tried other options that you see on the screen. But having been in the Sime Darby system for a long time, right, it would have been, I guess, not so good if we had gone with any of those brands. Would you actually resonate with any of those made-up names there? I don't think so, right? Would you want it to have been called Berova, or Areroka, or Terana? No, right? So this was a very conscious decision at that point to come up with a very, very tight shortlist for us to send to the board for consideration. And the three that we thought were the best were two, Guthrie, SD Guthrie, which were closest to home, and then we had Agrinovas just as the third option. Okay? And when we went to the board said, hey, we can't make the decision without actually asking all our stakeholders. So we went to our stakeholders. We sent out a survey. We had a survey, we had only 2 weeks to complete it. Actually, the board asked for a focus group discussions, but it was too tight a timeline. between the 2nd of February board to the 21st of February board this year to actually come up with a good focus group. So we decided that we're going to look at our stakeholders, the most important ones, identify 42, well, there was supposed to be 40, but then they grew a bit, 42, sent out the invites, and then 19 came back. So from the 45% that came back, these were the results. Section A of the survey, there were 9 questions, very much on the sounds and all that, how it resonates with the stakeholders, whether it continued to maintain our value as a company. My boss just came in and I'm a bit nervous now. But as you can see, from the 9 questions that came up, only one in which SD Guthrie did not score highest, and that's question 7. And what question was that? How easy is it to pronounce the new brand name? And of course, Guthrie would have been the easiest among all, right? And moving on. Which is the next segment I'm going to be talking. Yes? Go for it.
Hello. Sorry for that. It's not because I'm going to retire. Just a matter of curiosity. When the name was proposed, Guthrie, SD Guthrie, everyone knows us. I'll go back in 2007 when the 3 plantation company merged to become the new Sime Darby. Right, it was Copeland Guthrie Berhad, Sime Darby and Golden Hope Plantations. I don't know what is SD stand for. Which I would definitely is Sime Darby still. Because one, the SD to be there to recognize Sime Darby, Guthrie. It's not sensitive. It's not a sensitive thing. I want to ask you. I'm from ex-Golden Hope. Why Golden was not considered, at least in the spirit of merger, at least we name was a GSD, Golden Sime Darby Guthrie. Don't have to mention Golden, at least you put the G alphabet front there. GSD Guthrie. That's all.
Sorry for that.
Oh, Jared missed that drama. So, going back to this, so the results were obviously overwhelmingly in favor of SD Guthrie versus the other 2 options that were shortlisted. And at the next board meeting, we presented this to the board. It was agreed that SD Guthrie was the name we will be moving forward with in the corporate branding exercise. Okay, so I'll just get to the next section, which I'll be talking a bit about the project admin and timeline. So this is how the project is governed. That listed our Upstream reps and their scopes of responsibilities. This was a very important one to send out because everyone keeps coming back to me asking about everything under the sun, and I was like being a very important postman for the other work streams. But I think most of you as well intuitively have reached out to the work stream reps yourselves to ask all the different types of questions that you would have. That happened. 6 May, the EGM notice was released. We will skip those 2 for now. They'll be covered later, but most importantly, what's coming up on the 28th of May, we will be having an extraordinary general meeting, EGM. But it is, as mentioned by our corporate
corporate secretarial team that will be by the 30th. And we have the brand launch and logo review. A flurry of activities start to happen. So on the 31st of May, there's going to be a lot of publicity events, a lot of PR, a lot of media. Actually, on the midnight of 30th, we're planning quite a lot of things, including the email changes, the websites, the social media, the SharePoint and all that. But we're planning to possibly appoint more than one vendor to do the installations with the quality controls managed at Group Comms and DoubleTree, of course. There will be an immediate start at Plantation Tower, the region offices, Carry Island, HDO refineries, and main engagement roadshows with staff and stakeholders, and product packaging and design updates as we go along. Being prepared by corporate secretarial team. So I'll just move on. Of course, because Minamas and New Britain Palm Oil will be carrying our new logo, we are also in discussions on what would Upstream. All these updates actually are in the SharePoint. And as you can see, we have a dedicated section in SharePoint called the Brand Toolbox. This is actually very important for me to let all of you know that the section will be the hub for all our global employees to refer to for all matters relating to the rebrand. We currently have an FAQ document there and a bit of a glimpse of the brand architecture of our operations, and we're happy to answer. So if you are trying to ask the question today, you can always email that. And we will answer. I personally answer all the questions that come in through that channel. Most importantly, our new brand guidelines will be there. It will be housed in the SharePoint. But as this is a new brand that could most likely be with us in the next century, at most of the time, once it's uploaded, to familiarize yourself. At least when the people under your care, the teams under your care, start to implement the new brand, you have that insight, that knowledge as well, to know, hey, the logo's not supposed to be like that, hey, why the color is not right, you know, it is not the right template. So things like that, those are very important, especially when we need to change the new brand. That today, if you look at some of our forms even, some of them still carry the Sime rebrand, you know, but this is one time of our rebrand for most of us where it's a total logo change, total name change. So we need to kind of cease and desist within the okay. As a global brand, our biggest responsibility is to effectively transfer the equity of the current brand to build new ones in the places that have a lot of new traffic. You know, our operations, of course, there's been a new highways, new ECRLs, you know, passing through, approved by the board. And in April, thank you very much, I reached out to all the regions, and we have gotten our numbers for the pylons. The final numbers is that, and there is a possibility that we would want to trim down the numbers of pylons to make sure the upkeep and maintenance is more optimized. Right. Having a discussion with Jeff to plan out internal in Malaysia roadshows that will be going from region to region. And the last slide. So earlier this month, I had reached out to as well. Instructions went out on the dismantling and removal of the Darby Plantation and Darby Oil's logos from our operations. This is to tee up for when the dismantling and removal, but working with group procurement, we're going to make sure. Let me just double check that I covered everything. Okay. And continuing from that, next week, my team is planning to visit some of the operations. I'll be reaching out to some of you via email to inform you that we are coming on. Just to, one, observe the progress of the removal and dismantling as well. Any? No takers? Okay, thank you very much.
Engineering and Utilities, Property and Plantation, 3 years experience as head group fraud and corruption risk management, and now 3 years in running as head of group compliance, group integrity, governance and assurance. Now, please welcome Puan Myra Abdul Muttalib, our head of group compliance, group integrity, governance and assurance, to share with us with her presentation entitled Integrity Matters, a half-hour exploration. The floor is yours, Puan Myra.
Thank you for giving me some airtime today, but the biggest thank you is for hosting the event here, because it's just like literally 10 minutes from my home. Yeah? So I don't have to wake up early. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm using this opportunity to share the integrity assessment results that we rolled out in November 2023. Yeah? Now, what is the point of the integrity assessment? What's the point of it? Yeah? It is a way, a mechanism, if you like, for us, to gauge the integrity culture of our company. Yeah. So during Integrity Day, I think all of you must have attended Integrity Day, and I've always pleaded, please answer the integrity assessment, because your opinion matters. Before I share the results of Upstream Malaysia, specific to Upstream Malaysia, I do have to say, I cannot have a mic in one hand and chocolates in the other. Yeah, I always dispense chocolates during Integrity Day. So now, all these chocolates, they have a name to it. Now, one is for Mr. Tang Mengkon. Where is he? Oh, he was there. Okay, one is for Mr. Tang Mengkon for being so gung-ho about getting 100% responses from his region. And I do have to say, because of that, 100% of CWR employees who have email addresses actually responded. Yeah? Now, 90% responses from Upstream Malaysia. Thank you so much, Upstream Malaysia, for caring enough to answer and responded to our integrity assessment. Now, for that, Tuan Haji, I will also give you a bar of chocolate, and I think you deserve that. Thank you so much. Now, this thing scares me, because before I came up here, someone Shamina told me that there is a button that I cannot press. So now it's looking at me, it's like calling me to actually press it. So before I do anything wrong, let me just go to where you are, Upstream Malaysia, when it comes to your opinion of your environment, integrity-wise. There you go. You are resplendent in greenery. You are resplendent in greenery. Your aggregate, the maximum aggregate is 6, but your aggregate is at 5.2. So what does that mean? It means that most of you, and that is the word, most of you feel that you are working in an ethical environment. So thank you so much. Thank you the leaders, thank you the employees, the workers, wherever you are, who feels that you guys are working ethically, you're operating ethically, and that you are doing the line. The luscious greenery is a bit marked by some unethical conduct. Okay? Now, I would like to invite the head of GCAT Upstream Malaysia, Encik Fitri, to probably give you some insight, where they are, where's the 0.8, what are the things that he found during audit, and then also results or findings during investigation, so that it can give you guys some idea where you need to improve. Okay, so I pass the floor to Encik Fitri. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Myra. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, GRS, Plantation, all the RCEOs of Upstream Malaysia, managers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, as mentioned by Myra, today I will be discussing some of the key observations from our recent audits of Upstream Malaysia operating units, specifically focusing on the compliance issues. We are going to focus on the scope of procurement and check rule, as you can see in the slide. We also have other scope that we are covering during the review, which includes store management, inventory, and also production. But while our audit covered a broader scope, we believe that it is critical to address the non-compliance issues identified in these two areas that we are highlighting. Addressing these issues is essential not only for adhering to the policies, but also for maintaining integrity and also efficiency of our operations. You have made a significant efforts to ensure that your operational targets are achieved and thereby contributing to the bottom line of the company as a whole. But however, our review has revealed that there are issues with compliance, not everyone of course, but there were some that we have identified, particularly on the compliance culture. There is quite a considerable room for improvement in this area. We noticed that there is a tendency for some of you to compromise on compliance when conditions and situations are not favorable or unfavorable to you. Meaning to say that you comply when it is convenient, but when it becomes more challenging, some of you have the tendency to go the other way. Additionally, this is what is more worrying to us. There is also a tendency for you to take risks, assuming that if you are not caught, then everything is fine. Unfortunately, such behavior or approach is not acceptable and undermines our collective efforts, of Upstream Malaysia in setting and establishing a good standards of operations. Okay, as you can see from the slide, these are some of the key identified compliance issues related to procurement and also check rule. So on the left hand side, these are procurement issues that we have found. There were procurements made without approval, discrepancies between the approved value against the final PO values, approvals not being obtained as per limits of authority. That means normally you are going lower than what is the prescribed limits of authority. Use of vendors which are not in the approved vendor list, which have not gone through the proper pre-queue. This is one of the most common ones. Single source and quotation purchases made not following procedures. There has been some misunderstanding on how and why single source purchase should be used as per the procedures. Use of inappropriate sourcing method depending on the value, and also misuse of single source procedures. Effectively take note of our concerns and included them in as part of their improvements in their digital transformation, or what we call as PDT, Procurement Digital Transformation. So you will be seeing, I do not have all the details with regards to PDT, but you will be seeing a transformation in terms of how, especially on the tendering part, how procurement is being done.
Regulation that's coming through, and it's increasingly complex, it's increasingly onerous for us to establish that, but we are one of very few companies, if not the only company in the world, that can actually supply these kind of oils that meets all these criteria, particularly in Europe. Yeah. The only other solution that they may have, there may be some from Indonesia, there may be some from Latin America, but it will never be enough to sustain or to meet the whole supply that you're seeing in Europe just now. We just saw just now how the demand in Europe is far exceeds the potential supply. Okay? So that is the background to all of this that you're seeing. Okay? So, how do we maximize the value of the oil that you guys are producing and that we are buying, SDO is buying? The first thing is looking at putting customers first. Okay? And this is actually in the words of Aris himself, our Jiku. Okay? And this is something that we've shared and we've internalized in SDO. We win when our customers win, because that's when the customers come back, and that's when we can get the full value out of the pricing that we get to our customers. We win when our customers win. Okay? And these are some of our top customers, from food to non-food to oleochemicals and even biodiesel. Same principle. We need to make sure that our customers value our products and they therefore win in their own businesses. Okay? Satisfying customers needs our competitive edge. Yeah? What is our competitive edge here? Okay? We always talk about sustainability, and I talked just now about the quality and safety. Supply chain security as well. So my team and Tuan Azlan are always in touch in terms of trying to make sure consistency in supply, consistency in the quality of the products that's being supplied to our refineries. And finally, service quality. And I'm going to touch a bit there about that as well, because that's something different that we offer compared to some of our competitors in Europe. Yeah? So that's very critical. So these four key things are what drives how we work with our customers. I want to touch a bit about Darby Oil's Liverpool, okay? Their story, because I think it best illustrates what I've just said just now. Okay? Liverpool, for the longest time, were focusing on the UK market. Okay? They did not look into Ireland because we were full of capacity. We couldn't go there. We couldn't sell into Ireland. Okay? Some of the people in Ireland, and when we tried to sell into Ireland, it's very difficult because they are actually quite parochial. Dia ni macam orang Kelantan. Kalau buka Kelantan, dia tak sebeli. Okay? If you're not Kelantanese, if you're not Irish, you're not going to buy from you. We're not even going to talk to you. Okay? Even the Liverpool guys, when they start calling, some of the agents wouldn't, some of the buyers wouldn't even pick up the phone. Okay? So this is where we had to think slightly differently and think about what we are trying to offer. Okay? So Ireland is a new market. It's actually a market for milk powder. Okay? In fact, Tuan Azlan, some of the milk that comes from PNG, some of the palm oil that comes from PNG goes into the milk powder that's being produced in Ireland and then goes back to PNG as milk powder. Okay? So it's a new market. And then we provide service quality in terms of consistency of the product that we have. And then quality and safety, I'm already talking about Moshmo and all that. They are part of Europe. They are captured under the EUDR regulation just now. Sustainability that's taken. You don't have sustainability, you can't even look into the European market. Okay? That's how do I say, the key to the gate. Just to get into the market, you need that. But more importantly, in Ireland, before us, they were supplied from Europe. Okay? There's only 2 shipments per week from Europe. So they have to store in Ireland, they have to have storage, they have to pay storage to our customers. Right now, okay, we are offering them from Liverpool. There are 12 shipments every day from Liverpool into Ireland. So just in time. Okay, that's the service that we are providing to them. So they don't have, our customers win because they have the products that they want. They save money on the storage. And they want products tomorrow, they can give us a call today and we can deliver that tomorrow. Of course, we charge them a bit more if they call us today and want tomorrow. Okay? So that's very simple. Okay? But that's the value that we bring. That's the kind of strategies that we are applying. Okay? Even here, we work with distributors. Yeah? The distributors are Irish, as I said just now, because the customers don't want to talk to us, they talk to the distributors, and then the distributors do the job for us. Yeah? Okay, we've spent about nearly, how much is this? 47, I calculated this last night, 20, 40, 100, just over 100 million British pounds. So it's about just over $500 million ringgit over the past few years to invest in Liverpool. Okay, 3 key projects. One is still ongoing right now, the biggest project in terms of the expansion of Liverpool. So interestingly, you saw the charts earlier. Europe is one of the more mature growth. The growth is not so high, but the point is we are trying to capture whatever's there. The core demand in Europe, in the UK, is ours. So next time you go for holiday in UK, Muscle Fish and Chip shops, 80% of the probability is that that's Tuan Azlan's oil. So that's why it goes back to how the quality of our products that comes in through our own company, through our own supply chain. We fail, they fail. Okay? Another example, let me see this. This is how we have strategized in terms of trying to create more value out of our oil. The oils that do not go to UK from PNG, a lot of them are being sold to India at the moment. Okay, some of the Indonesian and Malaysian oils also end up in India. Added part of that value chain. We are not part of that. Okay, so that is the strategy right now with trying to get into India, which is proving more difficult than I thought when we first started out. But the idea is not just to sell into India, but then to also bring into the other parts of the value chain inside India, to go into the biscuit manufacturers, the McDonald's, KFCs in India, so that we get more value out of the oil that we do. Yeah? Kalau you sell just to the port, that's it, cuts off. That's all you can get. But you want to be part of that additional value chain. Okay? So we all continue to make investments in some of these high value added segments. Yeah? We've talked about Europe. Even Zwandra is looking for some of that. We talked about India. Indonesia is going the same way. 2 projects there, Project Garuda, Project Starling. Garuda is the same Mangke refinery, as many as those in Indonesia would know. And that's ideally will capture a lot of the oils that we produce in Sumatra into and capture that market in the downstream market from the same Mangke refinery. Okay? For Asia Pacific. And one of the key strategies here is very simple: volume to value. Trying to capture some of the customers that we have lost either because of the CDP and the ILO issues that we've had over the past 3 years. We've lost some customers, and that's the focus of these guys: get the customers back, focus on the volume first, and then leverage on that to go into higher value added products. Yeah. We're looking at distributor strategies also, get into distributors, and then build it up from there. Okay. Some of these customers, Ferrero, we've lost quite a number of years ago, and they have now started to come back to us. Yeah? They were our biggest customer, taking from PNG dulu, but now they moved away from us. Yeah? But suddenly, over the last 2 months, they are starting to talk to us again. Okay? Both in Singapore as well as in the UK. And then you're looking at some of the regions that you're seeing here. Middle East, Turkey, that's one of the areas that I didn't quite mention in detail just now. US is also interestingly coming back, talking to us again. Yeah? So we have 1 salesperson in the US right now, 2 salesperson in the US, covering Latin America and North America. And these guys are pushing the business through. Okay? Second, product innovation and development. You've seen what Dr. David presented yesterday. We are linked. Our PID focus is linked to global megatrends on quality, on our on environmental standards, and our own wellness. Yeah? 3 key megatrends. So I'm just going to focus on the business end of that. Okay, Dr. David has covered most of that yesterday morning. Okay, so these are some of the products that we're looking at. A large part of that PID work. We've got about 12.9 million last year in terms of the contribution of the PID to our gross profit in 2023. Okay, a large part of that coming from Europe. But you can see some of the products there. Certio, for example, is our biggest, one of the best-selling, not best-selling, one of the highest quality products that we sell to McDonald's and KFC, particularly KFC. So, and with the current situation, boycotts and all that, we are trying to sell Certio to some other markets, some new customers, Texas Chicken, Mary Brown, for example. Yeah, so trying to get to new customers with these products. It's a well-known product. It's a high-quality product, and it leverages on the production of Kalis and Kalis Plus products from social media and Facebook and things like that. But the key thing about this campaign was targeting very specific procurement people, very specific potential customers or existing customers, and also those who are potentially our customers going forward. Yeah, those who don't know our stories yet. When we first started this out, we thought we're going to go and reach out to those who don't know us, because our customers know what we're doing already. But in fact, when we started this, increasingly we find our customers don't know the things that we are doing. They're not aware of our environmental work that we're doing, the preservation work that we're doing. They're not aware of our innovation, and they're not aware of the work we're doing with communities. So when we talked to them about that, they were very, very excited to hear about that. So we rejigged the campaign to look into both customers and non-customers. Yeah. So the idea is to reach out there, and we have not reached out to the public yet. I think that is a bit more. That needs a bit more work by the industry rather than just us alone. But the idea is to differentiate ourselves here. Yeah. So you've seen this both in terms of Sime oils logos you will see, and also Sime Plantation logo. Not all palm oil is created equal. Ours is different. Okay? That's the message that they're telling. We're building strategic relationships. Some of these, I have to say, Wild Asia and L'Oreal are still at a very, very early stage, but I wanted to put it there because it's an interesting combination of working with NGOs, working with Wild Asia Group, which is focusing on smallholders in Carey Island, and L'Oreal, one of the biggest cosmetic firms or cosmetic companies in the world. Yeah, so L'Oreal wanted to have a nice story about what they're doing with smallholders, that the palm that they're buying are from smallholders and all that. And Wild Asia Group is working to certify some of the smallholders, and we are in the middle there. So we are working out the logistics right now. Hopefully this can work. This is a very small volume actually for L'Oreal from the Orang Asli team for Orang Asli smallholders. But if you remember what I said just now, volume to value. Okay, if you get this, we'll get the other business of L'Oreal coming in from our normal mills, yeah, our normal channels. Chester Zoo is one of the partners in Europe that we are working with. Yeah, and this is a zoo that has been at the forefront in terms of thinking strategically about plantation, about palm oil, about sustainable palm oil. And they've come up one of the very first zoos to come out and say, we support sustainable palm oil, and we are against any blanket ban on palm oil. They're very, very clear on that. So that's why we started working with them. Yeah. So we still, and they are working with us, even in the new rebranding. They'll be joining us as we rebrand ourselves. You heard some of the rebranding efforts this morning. Yeah? And then, of course, Nestle, in terms of our reforestation under Project Leaf. Nestle is one of our biggest customers in Europe and as well as here. Yeah, so it's important for us to leverage on all the work that we're doing, get our stories out there, and get the business in, get the value out of those work that you guys are doing on the ground. Okay, so one stream. Trying to end this. Upstream, quality assurance, giving us that quality assurance, consistency in the supply, consistency in the quality of the products. And then downstream, our work here there is to unlock that potential. Now added that premium potential. Yeah? Because otherwise it wouldn't be fair to all of you in this room for all the work that you guys are doing. Yeah? So you can see the supply chain that we have across. Yeah? Look at Papua New Guinea, the yellow line there that goes into Europe and India. Look at Malaysia, supplying mostly Asia and Middle East, and even Africa. Okay? Indonesia, mostly into China, from where we are now, some into India actually, also. Okay? And most recently, we are, hopefully, our palm oil will also reach Dr. David's family in New Zealand. We just started selling David into New Zealand. So I know your mom's house is very remote, you showed us yesterday, but I'm sure we'll get there at some point. Okay? So the supply chain is there, and that's our advantage. When we go and talk to customers, one of the first things that attracts them to us is the fact that we are an integrated company, that we have that stability and the security of supply. And that's what we sell to them as well. Yeah? They can go to Wilmar, they can go to some of that company, IOI for example, almost have reduced their presence in Europe. Yeah? So they don't sell that much in Europe, KLK either. And most of what they sell goes into, KLK for example goes into oleochemicals. In terms of food, it's us. Yeah? And then supported by small volumes by the other companies. Okay? So, as I said just now, sometimes it comes with bigger responsibilities because you're supplying food for whole countries. Okay, bells are ringing. And Omega focuses on food safety. If you recall, 2 managers' conferences ago, before I went to Netherlands, we had a managers' conference and we had Nestle come over and talk to us. One of our biggest customers come talk to us about food safety. Yeah? And we've also had visits to Nestle and to see how they manage their factories, and then we try to replicate that in our refineries in Malaysia and also in all of our refineries. Okay? So that's one of my challenges that I've taken up for this year in terms of health and safety and efficiency. That also contributes directly to under Chris. Mission 1, you saw just now the fact that our own growth of palm oil production is coming down, so that sits nicely into that bucket in terms of where supply comes in. Okay. Tuan Jeff and my team in Asia Pacific have started talking. Okay, how do we share in that increments, in that additional value that Darby brings in, SDO can bring in. Yeah, I talk about your production, quality of your production, and we go on out there creating that market, finding that market. We need to share that. Okay, first of all, we are paying in terms of Kalis Plus. This is an example. Okay, this is what we are working on with Jeff. We are talking about the reimbursement of the cost, first of all your costs. That's being worked on. I think we kind of finalized that, just one final validation. But more importantly, sharing the KPI so that each of us share in each other's success or failures. Yeah? Production volume, upstream needs to have a KPI of producing the kind of volume that's required. Downstream, we need to sell the volume that you guys have given us. There's no point you guys producing all this and we cannot sell.
Good afternoon, Dr. Helmi and leaders. Good afternoon, everyone. Very honored to be here and talking to you about this very important topic. So, net zero and climate change. Let me ask you a question. How many of you know that we are the last generation that can stop climate change? Right, just think about that. So, the World Economic Forum releases the Global Risk Report on an annual basis. And if you look at the next 2 years, the risks that we all know, rising cost of living, extreme weather events, geopolitical confrontations, these are risks that we are well aware of. But the next 10 years, if you look at the top 4 risks, they are all around climate, around biodiversity, around environmental, right? And you look at the 2 pictures here, the contrasting colors that we see. Since record keeping has started to keep track of global temperatures since 1880, you can see that the world has grown much, much warmer. And most of you would have known about the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is where nations have already pledged that they will keep global warming to 1.5 degrees compared to pre-industrial levels. Why 1.5 degrees? Because that is the point where scientists say it's called a tipping point. Any temperatures beyond 1.5 degrees will cause severe, intense, more frequent climate events. Right? It's already very extreme now, but if you go beyond 1.5 degrees, even the scientists are not really sure what would happen. Right? So it's like when we are having a fever. Every degree that goes up, you feel worse and worse, right? So the Earth is also the same thing. Every 0.5 degree increase in temperature, the whole climate systems, the ecosystems will have a very severe and catastrophic impacts. So the world is getting warmer, and this has impact on our livelihoods. Food production system will be impacted. Our crops may be impacted. Where you live may be an issue. So according to Climate Central, which is a platform that sort of looks at sea level rise, Klang will be underwater in 2100. Subang will be the new coastal line for Klang Valley. Right? So that's interesting, right? So how do we mitigate climate change? Because the top risk that I mentioned earlier is the risk of failure to mitigate climate change. We cannot manage what we cannot measure. So here is how we measure our greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gases are the ones that's trapping the heat. That's the one that's causing climate change. The ones in red, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, these are the greenhouse gases that we measure inside the Plantation. And there are 3 scopes of emission. Scope 1 is direct emissions, and these are the emissions that we all can control. Fuel consumption, coal mine emissions, fertilizer use emissions. And scope 2 is emissions from the grid, purchased electricity that we purchase. But scope 3 is really the supply chain emissions. Whatever you buy, whatever you purchase, anything you spend on, there are emissions. So our suppliers' emissions, their scope 1 and 2 becomes our scope 3 emissions. Right? So we account for all these emissions. Our 2020 total emissions, gross emissions, is around 18.7 million. Right? So that's a big number. Growth targets, so SBTi is the organization that sort of provides guidance to organizations who want to reduce our emissions in accordance to science, which is to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. So we have our SBTi targets approved, and these are our targets. If you're an estate, by 2050, you will need to reduce your emissions by 72%. So that's for estate. Scope 1 and 3 emissions by 72%. For mills and refineries, you will need to reduce your scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions by 90%. That's not an easy feat at all. Through our modeling, we find that flat emissions, scope 1, we are pretty okay with that, thanks to all the carbon sinks that we have, the reforestation projects, the conservation projects that we have. I will show that in a bit of a dip in 2022 and 2023. So just to look at what are the emission sources that's coming out from Upstream Malaysia, most of it is from land use change. And this land use change is basically when you converted forests to palm oil. And that could have happened more than 20 years ago, but the emissions carry over for the next 25 years. So that's why these are the historical emissions that are still in our books under land use change. The next highest is purchase goods and services. So as I mentioned, the scope 3, whatever you buy is part of our emissions. And there's POME emissions, effluent treatment. These are the top 3 emission sources for Upstream Malaysia. Okay, so if I look into estates and mills, we have the data. We are able to zoom into each mill and each estate, and these are the bottom 10 estates and mills based on emissions intensity. So for every ton of production, whether it's FFB or CPO, these are the emission intensity, and it's also a reflection of productivity, right? So I would like to commend Jabor Estate, Elfield Oil Mill for having the lowest emission intensity. Even if you have a high emission intensity, doesn't mean it's a very bad thing. Sometimes it's because you're located on peat. So peatland has a high emission. I was expecting some applause for this bottom 10 estates and mills. So I don't know exactly what you're doing. I know Elfield Oil Mill has a biogas plant. A lot of the bottom, a lot of these mills that have a low emission intensity also has biogas plants. But keep doing what you're doing and not increase your emissions. So our strategy, our net zero strategy, is really around renewables, so biogas, biofuels. Myanmar especially, we're already using B30 across. We are only using B7 in Malaysia. Land use transformation is our reforestation and conservation projects. And of course, to reduce scope 3 emissions, we really need to talk to our suppliers. This is our roadmap. Basically, we have just to let you know, we have a clear roadmap, right? And just now really about implementing and executing our roadmap. As mentioned earlier, we have a lot of carbon sinks, and these are some of the projects. Actually, these are the projects that are already ongoing and have been identified. So, on behalf of Group Sustainability, we really need to extend our appreciation to the estates who we are partnering with on these projects. And I hope that if there are other estates that have other unproductive land that you can put out and say, okay, this is an area where we can plant more forestries, please let us know. And I will end by leaving you the quote by the UN Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon. So he said, "We will be the first generation to end poverty, but we will be the last generation that will end climate change." So with that, sekian, terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Sarah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan salam sejahtera. Yang saya hormati, yang berbahagia, Datuk Muhammad Hilton Osman Bashar, the Group Managing Director, Darby Plantation, my immediate boss yang berusaha Encik Muhammad Haris Muhammad Rashad, our Group Chief Executive Officer, Plantation, my colleagues from the PLC's senior leadership, ladies and gentlemen. I read the text first, you should already be prepared. We have finally come to the end of the 2 days of Upstream Malaysia's conference this year. Thank you once again for your presence and participation at this event, and my highest appreciation to all the presenters who have shared us their various knowledge, information and experiences. Thank you again to the organizing team, as well as your hard work in putting together this event. And all of you have made this conference a productive, valuable event for Upstream Malaysia. For the benefit of everyone here, and before we head back to our respective region, I'm pleased to provide you with a summary of some of the key takeaways and valuable lessons of the past 2 days, and share with you some of my personal views and observation. Yesterday morning we started, we have total of 14 presenters actually, including the Jiku this morning on his keynote address. We started yesterday with Hisham to share with us Southern region success story, and what mentioned by Hisham yesterday, Southern region was the best region in 2023 in terms of overall performance in Upstream Malaysia. It was a tough battle actually, close to CWR lah. Because initially CWR, I was mistakenly informed that they were at number 1. Well, last minute when we did make the calculation, I got to apologize to the RCOs. I said, we made a mistake. You have to admit you make a mistake. So finally he said Southern region was the best region for 2023. Okay, well done Hisham. And what mentioned by Hisham yesterday, the challenges and the solution achievement made, is not only to Southern region. I believe each and every region in Upstream Malaysia did the same thing, what Southern region had done last year. Yeah. You look at what the photo showed by Hisham, the condition of our fields, the undergrowth, the losses on the ground, the oxidized loose wood, rotten bunches. The same scenario you can see all throughout Malaysia operation in 2021 and 2022. We recognize there's a lot of hard work being put in by everyone, and it's not an easy task actually, because through what mentioned by Tuan Haris this morning, I promised to the board, Upstream Malaysia, actually I need 2 years. I asked from Dato' Jeremy 2 years. Dato' Jeremy tak boleh, 24 months too long, cut to 18 months, so 1.5 years. So I told my CEO again, one of the MOM, no, Dato' disagree, 2 years is too long. We have to complete it within 1.5 years. So to through the cadence meeting, even 1.5 years too long, he wants within 12 months. So we cut it short, we did it in 12 months. Yeah, of course, 12 months, actually a nightmare for Upstream Malaysia. I know all of you has gone through the nightmare. At times, I also tend to be emotional, through the meetings, because we have to push for our productivity, produce for our production numbers. We need to show the result, especially after we start to receive the PMIs. Yeah. So as good as you receive the workers today, tomorrow we must get the crop. That's how we have to work during that time. Yeah. And of course, we are fortunate. Yeah, we are able to bring in, of course, through the hard work from WMU. I got to acknowledge Tuan Haji Razlan Shah, Badro and his team was very tirelessly working to bring in the workers to Upstream Malaysia. In fact, I was so proud, happy, and the first batch of PMI arrived at KLA. They landed at 10 a.m. in the evening and managed to pass through the immigration at 3 o'clock in the morning. But we still keep on waiting, eager want to see the workers. I was there at 3 o'clock at KLA to receive the first batch of PMI that arrived from Hong Kong. Then after that, it's continued to bring in, then until finally now we have more than enough harvester, not workers, harvester for Peninsula and Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, insyaAllah by next month June we try to fulfill their requirement. And not only getting the workers, you're able to improve your production numbers. It has to push to get the productivity, whatever target that we set. And I said, I must say also, never expected that we're able to produce that volume of crop in the second half of the financial year, because we know there's a lot of work needs to be done. The field needs to be cleaned up. That bed of pruning has to be done in order for you to bring down those bunches. But it has to go simultaneously, whether you like it or dislike it. Because what Datuk said, if Upstream Malaysia fall, Darby Plantation will fall. Because we are the backbone. Backbone because we have the size, we are the biggest, compared with our brothers in Indonesia as well as Papua New Guinea and Solomon Island. Our size as big as Myanmar and Nepal combined, these two countries. Yeah, so we have to push. And I'm very fortunate to have a good RCO, RGM, have been supporting and assisting us and getting whatever the production number that we delivered last year. And this year we continue to produce. Alhamdulillah, the first quarter number looks good. And I told we have a task force WhatsApp group. Yeah. This year is going to be Malaysia's year. We got to take back the throne. Which belong to Binamas and MP Paul. Yeah? We got to take back the championship trophy. Inshallah this year. Yeah, I'm not trying to brag myself, but looking at what we have on the ground, the potential is very high. It's not for me, whatever I say here is from the people on the ground. Yeah, I mean, says really. That's the most important thing. And again, yesterday, Dr. David also mentioned about his presentation, Beyond R&D in Action. And he was mentioning about fertilizer integration that will be looked into. Yeah, the right dosage, the right quantity, the right applications. And one of the, a few things that R&D will look into on the abnormal palms, and the palm to understand character is very important. Yes, we have to make sure we have the desirable scent per hectare, and that's what we always emphasize on the nature stage itself. We must make sure if you line your palm at 148, you must get 1.5 cent per hectare. You want 160 per hectare. Yeah, otherwise you have that place, but you don't have the stand, so you're not going to get the crop. Yeah, and Dr. David touched on thinning, PND, and finally on the smart life online application. Yeah, and then followed by Infinity in Motion, presented by Arif yesterday, and the potential of unlocking in Upstream Malaysia. We know, whatever happened to Upstream Malaysia, COVID-19, the WRO, actually is blessing in disguise. If not because of that, we are always in the comfort zone. We never challenge ourselves. We never try to explore the new technology. No doubt mechanization is already there for SD plantation, but we never go really aggressively, extensively try to mechanize all our operation. Yeah. One day Datuk called, said, Roslin, cannot. Without the workers, you cannot do anything. We have to mechanize. We formed the Infinity. Okay, working group look into that. We have task force, and we created the MTU. Ahmad Zaril was summoned. He was the GM of Perak. Said, Zaril, you are wanted to head this MTU. I was given only 1 month to make sure Zaril transferred to Ara Damansara. And heavy-heartedly he came to Carey Island, okay, to form the MTU. But look what 2.5 years ago and what MTU today. And the fleet of machines that the MTU has developed is tremendous. Yeah.
Why we need Ahmad Zaril? Because he's the person from the estate. He understands the operation better. He understands the need of the operation better. Not to say we don't, trust on R&D or AMT for that. But whatever machine that developed is an application machine. That machine can be used, and able to get whatever the productivity, the needs of the people at operation. Yeah. And yes, we acknowledge in terms of utilization yesterday mentioned by Arif. There's a lot of room for improvement. I believe after the presentation yesterday is eye-opener for most of the manager here who are having the machine specialists in your estate. You know now, not only having the machine, but the utilization of the machine is very, very important. Yeah, we monitor that. We have MUM there. I mean, yesterday, Ari mentioned that we have infinity meeting with the LMR task force. We'll be updating. Datuk Jamli, he himself chaired the meeting. We know what happened there on the ground. So we need the same thing, people at operation to understand that. Whatever that we introduce, we deliver to you for your own use. We want to ease your work, not to create and give you additional burden or additional responsibility. But this is what we require. If we seriously want to look into LMR to reduce the number of workers requirement, we have to accept it. Not MUM, not NTU, or not PMO to monitor interdepartment. You are the guys on the ground to make sure all this machine must be utilized. Otherwise, you're going to waste. Only waste of time, waste of effort, and waste of money or buying all this capex item. So after this conference, I want to see a better, of course, Tuan Jeffrey want to see the difference on the machine utilization after this, come in the month of June. So low utilization, gentlemen, ladies, please pay attention into that. Then come to Hairul Zaman. Yesterday, newspaper entitled Reinforcing Commitment, Fostering Accountability. Then you know what is the function manager in the estate. Your responsibility, accountability, whenever decision that you make. As a leader, you need to lead by example. Remember, you have only two eyes. There are thousands of eyes looking at you. Your conduct, your work discipline, your commitment, and other things. You would not have realized that. But people will talk about you. What kind of leader that you are. See? As far as I'm concerned, I started my career as an assistant, become manager, GM, PA, and whatnot. I've gone through the same thing as well. The success of the estate, the success of me, depends very much on the manager, either the estate manager or the mill manager. That's why we have different performance, our estate and mill. Even you give the same mill, to manage. That's why sometimes we wonder, last time this particularly the same mill, but the different person of manage it, why the performance came down? Why you put this particular person to manage the estate, you can bring or uplift the standard of the estate. I mean, we have a very clear example and evidence and all that. A report that came in by PMU, even Myra this morning on compliance and so on. It's very obvious. It has to do with the leaders, the person who leads the operating unit. You are the one who's going to make the difference. And of course, you'll be supported by your subordinate, the people below you. So I hope all the issue highlighted by GCAT, by Hyros yesterday, take it whether it's bitter to some of you, but we have to accept the reality. Yeah? See, that's the only way that how we learn how to improve. As I said, easily in this hall, estate plus the mill manager, about 150 odd of you together, managers. Next month you're going to have an assistant conference. Yeah, that's another triple the numbers. Yeah, the number of assistants they go to attend the same conference next month. Yeah. So, and 150 of you definitely, each and every one of you have different kind of character, work discipline, and so on. That's why you can see why even in terms of our KPI scoring, we have the T20, the M80, and even the M80 also, Dr. Jamie decided no, bell curve the M80. Because the M80 also, we have to differentiate. Otherwise, it's not fair to the good performer, the M80, to receive the same amount of bonus for the low performance of M80. Yeah. Some of you may be unhappy with that. Say, I am M80, he also M80, why he got different amount of bonus? But there's a reason for it. Yeah, we have taken into consideration all those factors into it. But the most important thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is you yourself. Yeah, how you do things, how responsible you are, and take the accountability. That's the most important thing. And sometimes it's difficult for me as a CEO of Upstream Malaysia also, when I read all those reports from GCAT and so on. Yeah, a lot of things still not, being carried out appropriately, especially those things with got to do with integrity and of course the governance. Yeah, and Gajani yesterday on the human rights practices. She mentioned that there's still a lot of improvement that we need to make, although we already out of the WRO last year. But what we re-emphasized on this morning, again by Tuan Haris, still we receive those non-compliances and non-conformances by some of you, not all, as some of you. We received this report from SWS saying that this thing was not followed. This is what we don't want it to happen. Whatever the gain, I mean, we have gone through all the hardship, gentlemen, the race to green. Yeah, you know how difficult it was when we tried to get the WRO lifted. We worked around the clock, and we had to even suspend managers for that. So we don't want the same thing to go through again. I believe there's a last thing going to happen to SD Plantation, of course. Yeah. So make sure whatever the responsibility, what the things needs to be done, get the thing done. Any issue, any problem, you have your GM with you. Highlight to him. Or RC over there, highlight to them. Yeah, tell. But don't try to falsify information. When you come to falsification, I also cannot help you. Sorry to say that. This is where the integrity comes in. This is what makes the difference, the leader of that particular operating unit. Some people, they think they can survive, yeah, or falsifying numbers, whatnot, but it will never carry you a long way. You have to acknowledge that. It's a matter of time. You can escape one, you can escape twice, maybe not for the third time, if you're not careful enough. Yeah, please don't do that. The implication is not only on you, but it's going to implicate SD Plantation. Reputation will be damaged. That's one. You must remember that. Don't think about yourself, but think about the company. What will happen to the company? We don't want the RSP auditor come and catch you, try to meddle with the figures, numbers, and all that. and reporting the thing which you yourself were not doing. So please, yeah, I think yesterday Gajani had mentioned that, and this morning again Myra or Fitri quoted some of the example, the findings by GCAT when they went to the operating unit to do the audits. Then it was yesterday, Mission 1 Dare to Flourish, presented by Noor Haiza on Myanmar's experience strategy. I like the quote, making bunches, taking bunches. Yeah. So now Haiza got to make bunches in Sarawak lah. Then after that, arrange to take the bunch out. Yeah? Okay, cantik. Yeah? So Malaysia also, we need to continue to make the bunches and taking the bunches. You harvest the bunches alone is not good enough. You have to deliver to the mill. Then only your yield be captured. Similarly with your bunches, your loose fruit and whatnot. It has to be delivered to the mill. Okay, and Andy Paul yesterday shared with us their Mission 1, the cultural change on operational excellence and growth. Yeah, and of course Andy Paul have their own problem in the country and so on, but they did share some of the problem faced in order for them to achieve their Mission 1 target. Yeah, and after that, Enrian continue with strengthening fundamentals toward operational excellence. He mentioned about back to basic, back to basics. I mean that's what Mission 1 is all about. Do the right thing. Go back. What the good agriculture practices, good milling practices that we to do. And he also mentioned about embracing technology. Yeah, there's no two way about it. Touch on Mission 1, yeah, the advanced mechanization. We cannot run away from mechanization. Workers, it's not only we are relying so much on foreign workers, but true, I mentioned in one of the PMU closing meeting, how good you are as a manager. If you don't have harvester, you are nothing. Yeah, 2.5 years, I don't know what was my function. No, buah tak ada. CEO, manager, buah tak ada. No harvester. You can only see a rotten bunches, the bunches get rot, that's all. What can you do? You transfer all your field workers, your general worker to do harvesting. How much can they get? Now whatever the issue, the problem that we have with our foreign workers, even though you have to deal with their character, attitude, whatever, the sick work discipline, I mean you have to accommodate them, whether you like it or disagree. Otherwise, you have to apply robot. Yeah, sooner or later we're going to have more robots coming to SD Plantation, inshallah. Yeah, but harvesting, we still have not find a solution for that yet. But inshallah, on upkeep and maintenance, as far as Malaysia is concerned, we will more or less find a solution for that. Yeah, it's a matter of time. We will expand it further. You can see yesterday, Ari also did show to us the number of field worker, general worker, we have reduced tremendously the numbers. That's what we're going to do going forward. Yeah, and the leadership mentioned by Henry yesterday, the empowerment and trust, effective communication. This is some we are lacking of. Yeah, we don't really communicate with our people down there, especially to our staff member and to the workers on the ground. They are understanding by it. That's why we still have issues. Workers tak faham ini, tak faham that. They don't understand because we don't communicate with them properly. You see, this is the thing I need managers. Please communicate with them, understand them, listen to them. sometimes you yourself need to get involved. It's not really relying solely on the assistant, but certain time you have to come and intervene. Your intervention is very important. The integrity and compliance, there's no two way about it, is utmost important. I cannot have anybody, any manager without any integrity. If there's any integrity issue, the only thing I can say, I just show you the exit door, that's all. Yeah, there's no two way. It's applied to me as well. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to go the exit door lah, sooner kan, 2 minggu lagi. Yeah, but to the rest of you, yeah, please, yeah, the integrity important you as a leader, and to lead by example, of course. Jiku keynote address this morning, the importance, why the OLT was formed, just to give important to operation that was mentioned by him this morning. He did mention on the one stream to support one another. Yeah, and we don't want to compete between Upstream and Upstream. See, we at one time is one family, but lain bapa, lain mak, anak tiri. That was the general feeling then, before the one stream. Before the one stream. Yeah, but now in the one stream you have a same mother, same parent lah, to say that lah. You cubit kira peha kiri, peha kanan sakit, the same thing lah. Yeah, and what mentioned by Dr. Shaliman just now, that's important by downstream, and we are sharing also the KPI on carries plus production. Yeah, so we need to compete with our competitors outside that KRI, Wilma mentioned by Tuan Aris this morning. Yeah, and he mentioned about the strategic pillars on sustainability, operational excellence, and as well as innovation. And he shared also the achievement in 2023 for Upstream. Yeah, and the food safety also being emphasized on him where this well. The Project Amiga, you know, what do you call it, the country COO, you mentioned Khairul, Enrian, and Nick Maziak will be responsible on the transformation of Project Amiga. Okay, guys, that's your responsibility now to make sure we achieve whatever the target we want to get under Project Omega. Yeah, and he also mentioned to us this morning why we have to do the rebranding. Yeah, to the new name, because we say Sime is not our name. It doesn't belong to us. It's our name. It's not belong to us. It's belong to Berhad. And we have to pay annual goodwill of 2 million. Sayang lah duit senang-senang. We pass to Berhad for that. And SD Gatri is our new name. Will be officially launched on the 30th of May. Yeah. Then Jiku also, you know, mentioned about his concern on the breaches of ILO indicators by some of the OUs. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier. Okay. Then again, Chris Hart on Upstream transformation, the mission 1. Why the Upstream transformation unit was formed under PMO is to ensure the seamless integration and achievement of Upstream Malaysia transformation of achieving one combined oil yield. And on top of that, we also have Omega. We look into the food safety, the health safety, and governance, and the OEE. And after that, it was followed by Hafiz on the new branding, why SD Gatri was chosen, the new name, and followed by Myra Giga on integrity, as I mentioned just now. We got quite good scoring on aggregate about integrity and governance and on. We got a 5.2 points out of 6 quite a good story. Only 0.8 point feel that there's still things we are not right that needs to be improved. Yeah, and some of key observation by Giga on the non-compliances that they found at the operating unit. Some of it like procurement, deviation from the SOP, not obtaining approval, single sourcing against the procedure, and falsifying workers' record, manipulation, check fraud, and so on. Yeah, I don't have to repeat that. I mentioned just now. So I hope from this conference, after this, we can expect a better CCM report. I just sent out an email this morning, early morning, subuh data sent out with regard to CCM, the latest report to the original CEO and RGM. Yeah, please look into that. Please don't have any recurrent or similar non-compliances. Dr. Shariman, last paper on OneStream. Yeah, he said the demand for palm oil going to remain high. Yeah, from 2030 onwards, the growth going to continue. Yeah, the only thing the palm oil production has slowed down. In 2019-2004, it came down to 1.8%. Similarly, in Southern Plantation as well. Yeah, our volume of production reduced from 2.4 million to 2.2 million from year 2001 to 2003. Yeah, CPORs remain volatile. Yeah, 2 weeks ago the price has jumped over 4,300, 4,400 ringgit, and 2 weeks after that it came down below 4,000 ringgit. That's why, gentlemen, we need to continue to produce high production. At the same time, we have to manage our costs, respecting at what price of the CPO. And again, what the challenges that palm oil is going to face, the regulation of EUDR, we're going to take effect from 30th of December, end of this year. And again, a strict regulation by the EU on the 3 NCPT, trans fat, chloride, and wash more. But all these, we are the only company, probably we are the only company in this world able to meet all those regulations. That's the beauty part of it. Yeah. So that our oil still we have a high demand from our buyers in Europe. And downstream, what do you call it, future initiative, yeah, and project is to maximize the value. It's all a customer centric, that means customer first, as mentioned by Dr. Shariman, and this is where Upstream has to play its part, in particular producing a good quality CBO, especially on wash more and also the Calis Plus oil. So we have to work together. India, the new market, the SDO is looking into. We want to be in India, not very to India, but in India. Yes. Yeah. And also there's a lot of investment for downstream, building a new refinery. Yeah, for the group. I mean, yeah, it's going to be further expansion on the downstream activities. I think more or less that is what I have jotted down for the 2 days conference. So I continue to read the remaining text that I had prepared. Esteemed colleague, I hope you will take back with you what you have learned at this conference and share it with the rest of our colleagues in your respective region for a better good of our company. Our colleagues back home rely on our leadership. So I hope you will take on responsibility with passion and your utmost commitment. As CEO of Upstream Malaysia, I am proud for what we have already achieved, especially with the turnaround of our Malaysian operations. But there are areas where there is still a lot of work that needs to be done as part of our continuous improvement. We must always aim to do better and to be better. Operational numbers can be a lot better, yield can be higher, quality can be better, and cost can be lower. This is the essence as of why we have Mission 1, which is to drive us all toward a clear target, to set our focus as a team. Regardless of the challenges ahead, I hope as a team, you will collectively continue to be committed and willing to give your best to implement the best agro management practices in all operating units in order to achieve our targeted combined or yield. Of course, they must go hand in hand with prudent cost management and without ever compromising the safety and the well-being of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this is my last parents' conference as the Chief Executive Officer of Upstream Malaysia and a proud member of SP Plantation family. I'm already looking forward to enjoy my retirement at the end of this month, to rest and start a new phase of my life. I would like to take this opportunity to once again express how wonderful it feels to be here with so many dear colleagues from various regions in our operations. My deepest appreciation and gratitude to each and every one of you for your enduring dedication, hard work, continuous commitment, and all the memories we have shared together in this company. I also offer my sincere apologies for all my shortcomings as your fellow colleague and just as another human being. In a couple of weeks, inshallah, you continue to carry the banner of our company under the brand new name. Unfortunately, I will not be there to carry on with you, but I will be praying for all your success, and I will cheering all of your effort from the sideline. Always remember our purpose: care to nourish, dare to flourish. Our journey here is not solely about us. It comes with supporting and caring for one another and promoting our own growth, development, as well as the people around us. I hope you will all continue to move forward under our company's new name and bring us to even a greater level than we have been as Darby Plantation. On that note, I have declared 2024 Upstream Malaysia Managers Conference officially closed. My best wishes to all of you, and see you soon at our dinner tonight. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
With the end of Tuan Roslin's speech, this marks the end of 2024 Managers Conference. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank all the esteemed speakers for their presentation throughout the 2 days conference. Not to forget esteemed leaders, managers, and fellow colleagues for your presence and attendance.
Okay, thank you.
ready on 3. Okay, ready 1. Okay, on 3, ready 1. So tuan, ke sana tuan. Tuan ke sana. Tuan ke sana. Belah sana, belah sana. Okay, ready. This time ready 1, 2, 3. Okay, ready 1, 2, 3. Lagi sekali ready 1, 2, 3. Okay, last one. Please start skip for video. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.